Good evening. Welcome to another video, Harmony Piece. I would like to talk about communication. Every day we engage and talk to friends, family, colleagues, girlfriend, boyfriend, whoever on a day-to-day basis. But, when it comes stuff in life. What I'm starting to notice a lot, and I've been there myself, where I've struggled to communicate or to articulate about my feelings or the way I need to speak about things. The thing is, though, these things happen on a day to day basis where I know in the past my feelings, where I never did articulate myself properly, I would shrink my voice and not say the things I want to say to people or things what on my mind, which doesn't really help. Because what happens is when we're younger, and this is to the point where it does happen, you shrink your voice down, you don't speak up. I'm not saying everyone, I'm just saying it does happen. But as you get older, when it comes to talking to people, you tend to not say what you want to say. So you limit yourself when you're talking about stuff and you do not be your authentic self. Being authentic is meaning being natural, being yourself as a person, the way you want to express yourself to people. That could be family, friends, that could be your loved ones, someone that you care about. I feel sometimes what happens is we assume or we don't pause and give space for that person to talk or express how they feel. It's better to speak face to face, it's better to speak one to one or whatever's on your mind than having to linger. Because when it lingers, you start to stress out, you suppress your feelings, and you just carry on like everything's normal. But then there's another thing what happens is we go by on our emotions. And when we go by our emotions, we make quick decisions on the basis of what we assume to think, meaning, yeah, this, that, whatever, why you might explain about someone, but you might not know what they're going through. And we do it too quick, too fast. I've been there, I've done that, because I feel what happens is when your emotions go up straight away, whether you're angry or upset, you don't think your rational brain, and it's what happens. Your emotional things will come out what you don't mean, and you're not giving yourself time or place to pause and breathe and give yourself time to think what's going on. So when we start getting emotional, we make quick decisions on the basis of we'll just say something straight away and not giving the time or moment to let the other person speak and to understand where they're coming from in their own life. It's about making space for that person that you care about, the time, and to reflect and be very self-aware and take it to, the responsibility, knowing that how's the person feeling, if he's okay, does he need extra support, are we actually listening? I don't mean the base of listening where we like nodding, you're actually listening to what a person's saying and you're being transparent and you're talking to them and you're being open and being honest and being self-aware how they feel and vice versa, which is very important. Generally overall, I believe being at peace with things. So I feel the best thing for these things is to pause. And if you do get emotional, just give yourself time out, give yourself a couple of minutes before you make a decision on the conversation, what you need to say to someone, because we don't give space and time for people because it's important. And this is where relationships will stay like a bridge, firm, solid, and grounded. And then once you need to say what you need to say, and vice versa, you have a common ground and you speak your mind. And it's about journaling the things. So if you do get emotional and you do get angry, write things down. There's a thing called mind dump where you can journal and write things down, say the things what you want to say, put it on paper. Also, you can have quiet time, reflect for the day or reflect on that period of time, you know, what's ever bugged you or how you're feeling, because that's important. Because when you give time to yourself to reflect on how you're feeling, at least you can pause that conversation and take the conversation the next day and rearrange. Because I feel sometimes when you avoid the conversation with people, it doesn't help at all. It's better to speak your mind, speak to the person, and be honest and transparent as well, which is very important, I believe. Because the world that we live in, we have to communicate on a day-to-day basis. And I understand there'll be times we don't get on with people, and then there's times we have to respect each other, and we have to give time to adjust to people. And sometimes, if it doesn't work out, at least you can show that respect to each other. I feel with that, when their emotions are high and we don't discuss things, we make not the right decisions because we're both emotional, we say things we want to say, and we don't address things. It's very, very important to address the things what you need to get off your chest. Because when you don't address it and you don't put it on the table, this is where things get crossed over. And it's a two-way thing as well. I've been there where I've not articulated what I wanted to say, or I've got it the wrong way. You know what? I put my hands up and I say, okay, I do apologise. And I will reflect and I'll go back into it and I'll look at things differently, which is being accountable. And being accountable is knowing that from what you've said and how you feel before you get into the conversation with that person, and give that time with that person, and you can work together to communicate and you check in with each other. If it's your friend, if it's family, whoever that is, because I feel doing that and the world that we live in, we have to communicate with people on a day-to-day basis. Another thing, what is very important, is how you feel in yourself, meaning how you communicate, how much time you give to that next person, and give you time and space so that person can speak. Another thing what works as well, which I've done on mindfulness course, where you could be in a room with someone and you're talking and you're both talking and you're not giving each other time or space to listen to each other. Because what happens is when we're younger, we have a habit of putting hands up in school like this, and you want to have to say what you want to say straight away. Even if you say nothing for 2 minutes or a couple of minutes, don't say one word, let the person speak, listen to what they're saying. And then once the conversation is done, then you speak. And then at least that way, when you're silent and that person knows that you're listening, it helps the conversation to grow and it helps to build the relationship and the foundation with each other. So I could just sit here for silent for 2 minutes and vice versa. You'll get a lot more out when you're listening and you don't interrupt, because what happens is we have a tendency to interrupt, just how human brain, how we behave, because we're just, as humans, it's something that we've always done. So it's better of just being quiet, not saying too much, and let the other person speak, and you get a lot more out. But once you've had those conversations as well, it's important where you move forward and you've resolved and you carry on with life, with friends, if it's family and work colleagues. I believe is just having a solution. Having a solution is better to have an outcome. And the outcome could be you get on, you respect each other, and you be at peace, and you say how you feel, because it doesn't help, and you keep quiet and you don't talk or you don't open up. I used to do that before, where I've managed to not say much, and I kept quiet and kept quiet and kept quiet, and I wouldn't say anything because I've always felt like when I was younger, my voice would shrink because I never speak up. But that's not a good thing. But when you're younger, it happens through growing up and how the environment is and the people that's around you. But then when you start to understand and learn to articulate yourself and to understand where you're coming from that place, from your inner child. So you look at it starts from when you're younger. So you look back when you're younger, even if you have to journal, write things down. And also you can speak to family members, speak to your friends who know you, and how you could communicate and speak up a bit more what you need to say, which is very important. It's about finer tuning of the way you talk, the way you need to express yourself, what you need to say as well. Because as time go on, you'll learn, and it's basically like a muscle memory. And you'll do the exercise and you repeat to the point it comes natural. It comes to the point where you literally, the art of listening, of just sitting there and to communicate and to talk and to understand how that person's feeling, to understand how you're feeling. Because I know I've been there where I have felt I've not been heard in the past. This is, how many years ago. But also now it's a matter of putting your voice out there and speaking and talking and making sure that you're being authentic to the things what you want to get off your chest. But another thing, what I feel is very important as well, if comes that you're not paying attention or you've had a bad day and someone wants to communicate with you and you feel you're not listening, just say to the person, listen, can we have this conversation later on where I've just had time to kind of relax and wind down? Because you could have had a bad day at work or things have happened with your missus or family and you've gone in a conversation with someone else and you're not actually listening. It may not be the right time, it may not be the right day, or you've got to say to that person, listen, I know you want to have a conversation right now. Could we have this conversation tomorrow or later on, or whenever's best for you? So you put it back to that person. So that means you're showing, right now, this is not the best time, but I've acknowledged what you've said to me, but also we could rearrange the conversation for the next day. Now we can sit down and have a coffee. And I know people sometimes struggle to have one-to-one conversation because they'll probably feel uncomfortable or they feel like they don't want to hurt the person's feelings. I feel sometimes if the person says it straight away and that's the case, then you come, I'd say, a bit further with them a little bit and work with them to get to that point where they can sit and express and talk, because sometimes that could happen. So it's about helping each other. It's like having a rope and you're pulling, but you pull together as a team. That's friends, that's family, anyone like that. So all I can say is it's about journaling. It's about taking time to breathe and pause in yourself. Because when you start getting emotional and your brain's up there, we don't think, we make a quick decision by impulse, by our emotions, and we don't make the right decision. And then what happens is we don't resolve it. It's better to resolve, because then you know in the process of things to come with other people, you know where you stand, you know what you need to say, and you have those regular conversations, which is very powerful. So I hope that's helped. But stay calm, stay relaxed, and just read books what help to communicate and talk, or journal. There's podcasts out there as well. I will pull up, which is very important. An amazing guy will help with communication. because we all can learn different ways of adapting with different people. It could be with your friend, it could be with family, it could be with your work colleague. So bear that in mind. But I will put that in Harmony Piece. There is a YouTube video what talks about the art of communication. Right? See you soon. Bye.